Hello everybody! Today I am delighted to be with you, Kerri. Hello!
Hi Ingrid, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. As you've said, lots of experts, lots of information about net zero, which is really important to DPD UK.
Okay. And why is that important for DPD UK?
So as part of Geopost, we have our net zero 2040 target. So we're working really hard on that at the moment, making really good progress. We have got a fleet of electric vehicles, and we've just swapped our fuel to HVO for our line haul vehicles as well. So there's a lot of work left to do, but we're making really good progress.
Okay, very interesting. You know, as an employee, but also as a communications director, I always feel in that tension. I am really proud of what we do, but at the same time, I want to put it in a nice way, in a very impactful way, but devil is always in the details. So we are facing risks of greenwashing. Would you be able, Kerri, to give us your definition of greenwashing?
Yeah, absolutely. So greenwashing refers to claims made that can mislead consumers into thinking that a product, service or brand has a less harmful impact on the environment or society than it actually does. So it can be both explicit and implicit. So for example, you could just not give the consumer the information that they need to make an informed decision. Such as telling them a packaging or something is recyclable but not giving the information about how to actually recycle it. Or it could be implicit, so green coloured packaging, for example, has become synonymous with environmentally friendly products. If you were to change your packaging to green, but perhaps you haven't made any discernible impact on the actual product ingredients, that could mislead consumers into thinking they were buying a more environmentally friendly product.
Very interesting. It's a learning curve. We have to be very humble in that regard. How would you qualify the risks of greenwashing?
I think the biggest risk at the moment is brand and reputational risk. Nobody wants their brand to be in front of the Advertising Standards Agency in the UK to say that you need to have your advert or your product taken off the shelf. So reputational risk is something we really have to think about. So there are also fines that can go alongside this if the offence is severe enough.
Thank you for sharing this example from DPD UK, but we know it's a European story there. We have other examples, whether it can be in France or in Germany. So we need to be conscious of that.
So yeah, I've mentioned the UK. We have the Green Claims Code in the UK, but there is also now legislation in the EU that covers greenwashing in the EU members.
Yeah, and we know it's a learning process, and we are probably evolving in a very interesting way. So choices we made about our green livery, let's say 5 years ago, I wouldn't qualify it a green livery today. I would be more careful with the use of leaves to be proportioned to what we do. So probably we'll talk again in the coming years around that topic.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are some guidelines that are evolving and emerging so that we can be a lot clearer in our communications. So for example, we have to think about imagery. So you've mentioned leaves. So we wouldn't use those now, how we did use them. And we also have to think about the colours that we're using alongside really making sure we're being honest and truthful about the information that we're putting out there, and that everything we say is verifiable.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting, thank you. But I said I was caught in that tension being a communication specialist, because sometimes I had the feeling that the companies that do basically nothing are really quiet. So do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, so there is something called green hushing. So being a bit too quiet about what we're doing. So there is a balance that needs to be found between what we do say and making sure that we don't say things that are obviously fall under greenwashing, but then you don't want to go too far and be green hushing as well. So if you follow the rules and the guidelines that appear in the Green Claims Code and the new EU legislation, you really don't run the risk of falling foul of those. So it's perhaps not what we used to say and how we used to talk and the imagery we used to use, but it's evolving, and there are ways we can safely communicate about the great work that we're doing.
Okay. Thank you very much. For maybe a final word. I think when communication and CSO team collaborate together, we are on the safe side.
Yeah, absolutely.